Hello and welcome to Final Show Films. I'm the executive producer here, John Bates, and I've got a few pre-show notes for you. First of all, I'd like to thank our $25 tier supporters, Antitonic, Waterflame, Samantha Bates, and Maureen Montee, without whom we wouldn't be able to do much, especially not all the content that we put forward now. I also want to thank all the people that have joined on with us since the, I would say, successful experiment that was Midsummer Night's Dream. If you're interested in that, go check out our YouTube channel, where youtube.com/Sensaku, where we performed the world's first, as far as we're aware, live stream production of a community theater performance of A Midsummer Night's Dream. That sounds like a lot of qualifiers. It's more just because that's the way I talk. Please go enjoy them, give us feedback, let us know if you'd like to see more of that in the future. If you'd like to support us financially, you can do so on our Patreon page at patreon.com/FSFilms. You can also follow us on Twitter at Final Show Films, or follow me personally at John A. Bates for all future updates and live notifications for our live stream. In the meantime, sit back, relax, enjoy.
And we're live.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to BreakVerse. It's been 2 weeks of us being sick and or out for various reasons, or something like that. And we have returned to the world of Zanera. Actually, in the physical material plane of Zanera this time, because we're finally out of the Feywild.
Yay!
Woohoo!
That took long enough. So, last we were with our adventurers, the party made their last peace with the Feywild and fell through a portal with some instructions to the Father of Wolves as to how they wanted it to manage going to a different dimension, going back to their native dimension. The group who fell through a portal and ended up kind of on a castle's ramparts wall, as for some reason my phone started beeping at me. Yeah, I'm ignoring that right now. I really should remember that more. Yeah, so as they arrived on the castle wall, of what they were informed was as the castle and hence kingdom of Rose Keep within the Seraphic Confederation. They were interrogated, each in turn, about the nature of them coming here, what they were doing, and why they were suddenly in a secure area. But there was only moderate violence, and most of it was psychological. So they might be fine, maybe. They're currently waiting in a holding cell, though their stuff hasn't been confiscated, so that's probably a good sign. Or, it means they're going to be fed to a monster and have to fight to the death for the entertainment of the masses. Who knows?
Yeah.
Let them try.
But picking back up, you're all sort of in this large holding cell together as a few hours drag on.
Yup. Ipsis is just sitting there patiently. Or perhaps not patiently, it's really hard to tell. It's Ipsis.
I was gonna say,
Non-responsively, but
Yes.
how can we tell? Third will go over to the guard saying, "Did they forget about us? Because it's been a while."
The guard doesn't respond, just looks away from you.
To which he goes, "Thanks." Said anybody's fucking asshole.
We've been in jail like 2 hours.
He's impatient.
Yeah. But another few hours drag on. You can see from the window on the opposite side of the building, day drag into night. And eventually, after a guard shift if the door to the room opens, revealing a seemingly elven woman with long, fairly well-kept hair, a book under her arm, and sort of thin, small glasses perched on her nose. Hello, I am Jella, her Crestbrand. I am the court auditor, documentarian, and scribe, and assorted other responsibilities. I'm here to confirm some information and take you to your trial.
Trial?
So, getting on with things. As per our current treaties and alignment with the EC folk, you as an adventuring party do have the right, if you so choose, to be tried as a collective group and treated as a single entity. Or you may choose to face the accusations against you individually. This is your choice, but you have very little time to decide.
I think it makes more sense for us to be tried as a group.
Same here.
Not. Well, very well. If you would follow me, then. As I realize that character is not assigned to the correct character sheet. Yay. The officer that you guys had spoken with some previously and who escorted you here at this time shows up along with two other armed guards. They don't seem aggressive, but there's definitely a presence of, if you just try and leave, we will stab you, to the whole proceeding. Just sort of gives a sharp nod and turns on her way. The group of you are her escort. That is the wrong map. Escorted up several flights of stairs, sort of heading further into the castle. Well, this is further away than the temple you were brought to previously. As you're walking, you can feel the brisk, cold night air. It might actually be kind of cold for those of you with less hardy armor. Quickly, you are brought to an inside area, up and up a set of stairs, and eventually into a long, large room. As you enter, on either side, there's a winged statue with its wings sort of folded back against its wall, against the back, and an arm extended with the flaming torch.
Does it look elven or angelic?
You can roll me a religion roll.
14.
With a 14, you can recognize these two figures. While they are identical to all appearances, especially given that you are not necessarily trained in the faith yourself, these are the two children of the goddess of justice, respectively. This is where I really should have all of my stuff out at all times.
QS and Caesar. Am I pronouncing that right?
Yes. Karis and Caesius, roughly, the two who gods of revenge and essentially they are the action part of justice. They're not the what happened, they're the okay, what do we do about it?
Farron will give a clear, respectful nod to the statues as we pass.
All right. And I'm gonna throw you onto this
Is
map.
it the new morning yet?
No,
Okay.
it is definitely not.
It's like in the middle of the night?
Yeah, it's probably midnight, maybe a little later.
That seems
You're
odd.
not exactly sure when you showed up, so the only
Yeah, I was gonna
But
say,
it's
I don't
like-
think we
it's
realized
dark.
when we actually
That's
showed up.
just
on either there are large windows on the sides of this room, but they only filter in the slightest bits of moonlight.
So,
To the side of the path that you are guided upon. Wait, that's the wrong token again. On the sides of the path that you're guided upon, there's water, and the room is illuminated decently well, especially for those of you with dark vision, by torches, both held by these statues and lining the wall on the other side of the water. In front of you and across most of the room, you can see pillars that hold up large, thick curtains. All of the curtains are pulled to the side for the moment, but they clearly are possible to open and close. So you're led deeper into the room. You see, grab the tokens just to be clear. Not that, that's the scenery. Sorry, guys.
it's okay.
It's all good.
It's all right. It's been a bit, so Roll20 is
Trying to
updated.
give you guys the opportunity to interrupt me
Yeah.
if you want to, but no one does, which is absolutely legitimate.
Okay.
Yeah. So as you're led deeper into the room, you see five large thrones, each of them a different color, and each one decorated with a large number of roses. To the far left, there is a light blue throne with many correspondingly blue roses on it. Central from that, there is a golden throne. At the top, there's this silver throne decorated with white roses. Down on the right, there is a black throne, the only one that's currently occupied, decorated with a large number of similarly black roses. And then to the far right, there is a throne decorated not with roses, but instead with the stems of the throne and stems both being green.
That's cool.
Really living up to the name, aren't they?
The guard captain that you came in with simply stands off to the side as Jessla gives a sort of short, I'm busy, but also respectful bow to the central throne, or to the central throne, and then to the man sitting in the black throne. She sort of folds her hands and rubs them together, and well, let's get this done and over with.
Yes, please.
This group of adventurers has chosen under such accords to be tried as a group. So their charges shall be read as such. 5 grave charges of trespassing, 1 charge of exploitation of an extra-dimensional breach, 1 charge of charming an officer, 1 charge of magical incursion, and 2 charges of heretical practice, and 1 charge of heretical worship. Is there anything final you would like to say to these charges?
Yes.
Go ahead.
They're irrelevant and stupid because we're not from here. We accidentally ended up here, and we just want to leave.
Be that as it may, there are still laws to this land which we expect even visitors to follow.
Even visitors who did not actually realize they were coming here and were not informed of the rules before they supposedly transgressed.
You currently reside within our jurisdiction.
It would
If-
be easy enough to rectify that.
I will happily accept the sentence of exile from your land, never to return.
Fine with that too.
It's not exactly relevant, and certainly not one of the implementable charges for the crimes that you stand accused of. Woman sort of flips through her book quite indignantly at this time. These are serious charges. The primary option and would be a fine of 500 gold.
That's
Are
all.
you really such a poor area that waylaying visitors like a highwayman is your only source of income?
She looks distinctly unimpressed. We find, though, those who seriously breach our laws, yes, who help pay for our guard and the upholding of those laws, but also to act as a deterrent and to behave in such a consistent way that our enemies do not get the idea that we are weak.
And what if, theoretically, purely by hypothesis, one did not have any money on them because they have spent the entirety of their adult life in the Feywild, where sometimes you pay with smells?
Well, that is part of why you have the right to be tried as a group, as adventurers, is it not? However, that is not the only option. We also could assign you some sort of community service to help you see the error of your ways and better the society around you.
I think that's a bad idea.
Let's hear her out at least.
The more time we spend here, the more time we're going to break one of your laws.
So let me get this straight. We pay 500 gold, we get to leave?
You will be sent on your way, yes.
Is that 500 gold per person or total?
Total. Most of the charges are from the aggravation and of the situation and the assault upon our guard, be it psychological or otherwise.
Are there any rules that we need to know once we leave here?
I would be happy to provide you with the entire town charter and all of the bylaws by which you are expected to behave.
How many pages is that?
342, with 22 pages of addendums. Most of them will not be of concern to you unless you intend to start up a clinic, charitable organization, and or market stall within the city.
Aaron, you're making it really hard for me to be emotionless here.
Poli-sci majors making places. There are how to set up your merchant stall.
Whew.
In
I'm
general,
laughing,
we
Ipsis is not.
Same world.
generally abide by the same laws found throughout the Seraphic Confederacy. He and the general expectations of hospitality. Is required. Those expectations involve not teleporting onto our walls and charming our guards.
Yeah, we learned those lessons. We're not going to do those again.
Absolutely.
I look to the rest of
We
the
are
group.
currently at war.
I have 4 gold I can contribute to a 500 gold fine. Can the rest of you come up with 496 between you? Because the sooner we get out of this place, the better.
I have.
Scott,
I got 15 gold.
If you are uninterested in community service and unable to pay the fine, and you can instead substitute these charges with an oath of service.
Absolutely not.
No way.
Hold on.
Wait.
Let's hear them out.
Scott is going to reach into a couple of
community service. So unreasonable.
Yeah, let Cat go.
Scott's going to reach into a couple of different spots on her armor, or well, her not armor, her clothes, and pull out 4 different bags filled with coins. Pull out 1 empty bag, stare at it for a second, tuck it into her shirt, and pull out 1 more bag filled with coins. Drop them on, if there's a table or on the floor or whatever. Can we go now?
Jelsa will look down and count how much gold is that.
500.
Okay. As long as you're not trying to scam anything, yeah, she'll count. And very well, soldier, if you would lead them on their way.
Take 500 out of my purse. All right.
If I may, before we leave, I do have one small request.
For the first time, the man who is sitting on the throne, just deeply bored by this entire endeavor, looks up. What do you wish to speak of?
Please direct me to the nearest library and the nearest tavern. I intend to visit both in the foreseeable future.
Seconded. With the tavern, I don't really care about the library.
He'll sort of look over to the guard. Allow them these trivialities. Guard will sort of sigh. Jelsa will bow. My prince, we will be on our way. And you will all be escorted out of the throne room. As you head back down, Jelsa will provide you with the full and annotated bylaws of the city.
God will take it.
It's kind of heavy.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
I got 17 strength. I'm good.
Yeah, she's strong.
Pick up this tome. So some light reading then.
Yes, it's all quite manageable. We keep it all in the plebeian tongue.
Oh,
Rather
good.
like some of the books my
I
brothers have
wouldn't want
poured
it to
through.
be. I wouldn't want it to be condescending.
You're lucky it's not written in giant.
It doesn't matter. I'm not reading it either way.
Of course.
And you will start to be escorted across the city, out of the keep walls into what is sort of a... there's still a wall beyond this for probably where farmland starts, but like a much more... This is a town collection of houses and markets and assorted areas. As you get just outside of the wall, the guard will stop and gesture to a fairly large thatched roof building to one side. This would be your the library. Jelsa will give you a bright smile. And should you wish to come by, our operating hours are from dawn until 2 in the afternoon when in the evening work begins.
What time is it now?
It would be about... sort of looks up at a few stars. Past the darkest night. 8 several on hours till morning. Dawn will be in 4 or 5 hours.
Cool. Thanks.
It's like mildly impressive to some of you. Like time telling is not easy in medieval cities.
Yeah.
So she's either attuned to the schedule or good with the stars.
Or she's lying her ass off.
Legitimately impressed.
Wow. You can make an insight check if you want to know if she's lying.
No.
Is she lying about the time?
There's a few ways this could go down.
Yeah. You're escorted a bit farther through the city. This is the local inn and tavern, Thorn's Paw. I hope I will never have to see you again.
It's been a delight. And I smack him. I give him a good, really hard smack on the back, and I just walk away. It's been a delight.
It has not been a delight. I don't particularly like anybody here. Goodbye.
Love you too, Ibs.
He
Thank you
walks
very much for your understanding.
away because this is a weird shift for him.
We've all had those weird shifts.
The ones where people teleport into the back of your store and then mock you for, or why do you? Well, I didn't know I wasn't supposed to be back here. So why are you getting mad at me for being in the restricted section?
Yep, I get that a lot.
I didn't see the employees only sign. No one told me about it. Yeah. He's got that sort of attitude right now. He is the supervisor who is really done today.
He's ready to clock out.
Nope.
He wasn't even supposed to be here today.
Awesome.
Okay, so library's closed. I'm gonna go get drunk.
Make
Hell
a
yeah.
check on that Ibsis.
Huh?
This is something that might actually pique your interest a bit.
What am I? By the way, is the map supposed to be all black? Because I see all black.
Oh, can you?
Yeah, there's a big
Not
map.
all black for me.
Oh, I went to the effort of making a nice.
I'm still in the throne room.
Look, throne room.
Pretty.
Nice.
Could not everyone see that?
No.
Couldn't
I
see
never
anything.
gave Jeremy's token sight. That's what happened.
Pretty.
What am I
Like
rolling?
I could see it.
Insight.
Insight.
But yeah, this is the throne room that
Wow.
you guys were
Oh,
in.
so cool.
22.
With the 22, you don't necessarily care about this person, but he's a potential threat, so you're sort of assessing him
Right.
on that just a little
Absolutely.
bit. You're not sure how much he's sleeping, but it's definitely not as much as he requires. He seems like he has been on duty far more than might be expected of a standard soldier. You don't know if that's because you guys came in and were unusual to his routine or if there's something else going on. But you definitely pick up that he is tired, mechanically exhausted.
Eyes narrow slightly. Doesn't say anything. Just keeping an eye on that for later.
Yeah. And I assume you guys head into the inn.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I will, before we go in, because I hear talk of people getting drunk, that would be a very bad idea here.
Come on.
I
Why?
will not be, no.
Why?
Because
Clearly
we're
these
going to want
people-
to go back to jail.
Clearly these people are not even-handed, and should you get yourself into trouble, I will not be responsible. I cannot be responsible. I need to get out of here.
Is there an index in this book?
I was
Yeah.
about to turn.
Absolutely.
I'll
There's
peek over Scott's shoulder.
an index.
Look at the laws about getting drunk.
Yeah, I'm going to try and see if there's laws on drinking.
Okay. Hey, other people who run 5e, what do you think is a good researching?
I would say.
Because it's really just about reading things.
Yeah,
I like
it's.
reading.
I would say investigation.
That was what I was going
Yeah.
go with.
Yeah,
I
'cause
typically
it's-
Well, why
default
not?
to, and typically default to if it is anything academic, I go history. You know this. I go
Mhm.
history, but this is, I think investigation also works. They're both intelligence based.
I was going to say,
I
if
think
it's
in this
history, I'd
case,
like that better.
Or something. So investigation, if you're trying to figure out cultural context or read this in a historical manner, that would be history.
Cool.
All right, so I'm rolling investigation.
I will too. Why not?
Reading over the shoulder.
That's
Nice.
a big 9.
I'll pop you back over to the main menu.
That's a big 9.
So it's a little hard to read over the shoulder when someone's going through the index and flipping to various sections.
Well, and while she's doing that, I'm like, just stop. No, go back. And she's obviously she's not listening. Go, hold on.
Yeah, because she's actually finding information. Scott, there are definitely laws on public intoxication, open. What's the one that's not
Open
open
carry.
carry?
Containers?
Open
Container.
container. Open carry is guns, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, that's guns. That's
Okay.
guns.
Yeah.
The open carry. There are also laws about open carry for not guns but weapons.
Okay.
It's generally allowed, but not like in the daycares and stuff. Like there are places where you're not allowed to have your weapons out or on you.
Depending on the state.
Hey, in this particular context, we're not in the Underdark. And they don't generally give the toddlers weapons.
Fair. They can they can allow their children to be unprepared for the slaughter that is coming to them. That is fine.
Yep. So Scott will find the law. Be like,
yeah. So there's some laws on that. There's some laws on like intoxicated violence, starting a brawl. As far as you can tell, the general consensus is either you're paying a fine and or you're sleeping it off in a holding cell. Like drunken belligerence is definitely a crime, but like going and getting a drink is not.
Gotcha.
all right. She'll look and say, you can have a drink or two, but I wouldn't get drunk.
All right. A few drinks
Fair
for
enough.
the night then.
Fair enough.
I'm going to walk up to whoever looks like they're in charge of this place. Whether there's an
someone behind the bar.
innkeeper, a bartender, whatever. I want a room.
Okay. It's gonna be a gold for the
Tonk.
night, dinner, in the morning.
Put a gold down.
Yep.
I'll get a room too.
Your room key. Yeah. You can all get rooms for 1 gold, which come with dinner and breakfast.
Cool.
All right.
Sure.
Yep.
What's the price on a mug of ale?
3 copper.
Sounds good to me.
Yep.
Thank you. I'll take one too.
They have hot cocoa.
Oh,
Only a D10.
that's adorable.
That's a 1.
No, it's a pretty basic place. Cocoa is rare and it's generally harvested in the tropical areas.
Makes sense.
This is not necessarily, so it's not common enough here to be a common beverage. They have tea, and probably coffee, but
Thurl said to Scott, next city we're in, I'll get you hot cocoa. Promise.
Eh. She'll take a coffee. How much is that going to run back?
silver, 1 silver.
All right, I can do that. And she will sit down and go and literally start reading the index to see what kind of laws are in this book.
Sure. It's really pretty mundane, typical stuff that a city would have to have, like laws on littering, laws on putting your sewage in the streets, laws on if you're building a building, you can't build it in the middle of a road. You have to get approval. You can't build your market stall directly in front of a competing market stall and like make it impossible for people to reach that market stall. Like there are taxes, there are all sorts of like little random things, and that stuff is finicky enough to occupy the vast majority of the book. Like obviously there's weird one-off laws and stuff like that. You know, nothing that stands out to you as horribly unusual unless there's something you're looking for. Sorry.
I am taking my key, looking to the rest of the group. Are we going to be planning our exit from this hellhole?
I would assume so, yes.
Or tomorrow?
I need to sleep, so I vote. Yeah. I vote in the morning.
Okay, then I turn around. I'm going to my room.
And Ibs.
Well, so much for that.
So Ibsis is going to sleep. Who's drinking?
I am.
Drinking.
Okay. Sky, you've got tea?
I got coffee, but yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
And Wolfine, are you having anything heading to bed?
I'm going to sit there for a little bit and just watch because I have a bad feeling about all this. So I'm going to watch them drink for a little bit. And if everything seems like it's okay and we don't get accosted by people who are like, who are you foreigners? Then I'll leave and go to bed eventually.
Make me a just general perception roll, I guess.
Okay. $19.
It's emptier than you might expect for the size of the city, but that could just be that it's pretty damn late.
Okay.
You're not entirely sure if there's a weekday or a work days or a work schedule, and like if this is or isn't a weekend. You don't know. It's a little less busy than you might expect, but it could just be time.
Okay.
No one comes up to accost you. There's definitely other people in the bar. They seem to be minding their own business, but they don't seem to be like hostile or violent or mistrustful.
Okay.
Are we getting some glances though, at least?
Yeah, like there's a group of you, and you're presumably not being like the quietest people ever. So there's definitely the occasional like, oh, there's people over there, there's people over there, there's people there, and one of those groups is you. But it doesn't seem like we're
not being singled out.
Right. Yeah.
No, not really. Like
that was the main thing I wanted to check. If this place was like xenophobic, I guess was what I was trying to.
But then again, the one person that would be a barometer for that in this group is Ibsis. Wood elves look similar enough to high elves that like the automatic distinction just very rarely happens unless you're in a entirely elven place.
Okay.
Well, I guess I was worried more about our half-orc friend who's.
I was going to say, are half-orcs rare around these parts, or?
Yeah, I was going to say we have.
That's really why I was worried as much as anything, is that there's Snake Lady and Green Boy.
Well, Ibsis is up in her room. Like I said, your main barometer is sort of missing.
Okay. I can be a barometer. I'm very barometer.
Yeah.
You're very sensitive.
I've got this right. Yeah. So they might not. You don't know if they're the most common creatures in this city, but actually, Wolfina, you grew up in the Feywild. You have no reason to know this. No, he does not seem to be getting any more unusual looks than the rest.
Okay, that's the main thing. So I'll sit there and kind of make sure everything seems uneventful and not getting too boisterous, and I'm just going to disappear and go to bed.
Okay. Yeah. 19 is high enough. One last thing you notice is that, like, almost everyone who's here is just drinking beer. There don't seem to be, or other alcohols.
Is there anything significant about that I'm like, oh, hey, they're all drinking the exact same thing?
Not the exact same thing, no.
Okay.
Though many of them seem to be just getting the very basic, like, this is the cheap alcohol. That would strike you as.
This is the house ale.
I guess medicine, but you'd have to roll really well.
They're all drinking Natty Light.
Yes.
Well, I guess what I don't know if a 19 would even apply to this. Is the clientele high end, low end, middle of the road? Like, what do the people look like in here?
Your sensibilities, which admittedly are a little skewed.
Yeah.
They look like workers. They look like farmers.
Okay.
None of them have particularly like super nice clothes. The rooms you guys have are not incredibly nice either. It's not like this is the poor bar in the poor part of the city, but this is like,
if the orc belches, he's not going to offend the local noble or anything and get us into trouble.
No.
Cool. I'm good with all of it.
Yeah.
Go to bed.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Eventually, unless you guys want to get drunk and start a bar fight with the random done with their work guys that are still there by 3 a.m.
Back to jail.
And the one moody guy at the end of the bar that every bar I am told has doesn't seem to ever leave.
They absolutely do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Every good time ever.
Yeah.
Eventually, Skal will go up to her room and try to scry for Ragnar.
All right. Doesn't that recharge at dawn?
Yeah. Hasn't it? I don't think I used it since we got back here.
I thought you used it while you were in the city, but I could be wrong.
I don't believe so. I think the last time I used it was right before we left the Feywild.
All right. So it hasn't been a dawn since you left the Feywild.
Oh.
The day you were in the Feywild, that night, you kind of got arrested.
Yep.
Oh. Okay. Then I will wait.
Yeah. It'll be about an hour or two before you can use that, is the thing that's worth knowing.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm trying to be slightly stricter on magic items.
No, that's fine. I didn't realize that it hadn't been a full dawn since.
Yeah.
Okay. No worries.
Yeah, it was disappointing because I was going to use divine intervention to try and get us out of the fine, but already tried that at the mom's house.
Moms.
Yep.
All right. So, with that, you all presumably get some rest, trance, whatever is appropriate to you. And no, that would actually be fine. Never mind. In the morning, you wake up. Scott, did you want to at this point?
Yes.
Okay.
I would like to scry for Ragnar.
All right. Can you throw the scrying spell in chat? Thank you.
Yep.
Your vision sort of fizzles and fades to darkness for a minute, and then you see the lapping of water. Your vision's a little bit unclear, as though you're sort of underwater and looking deeper down, but there isn't quite the clearest light above you. And after a moment, you see this blast of light and holy energy as you see a familiar dwarf smacking some variety of dolphin in the face with a giant hammer, screaming, "You bloody dab! Get off our ship!" That's not Ragnar's accent, and I don't care anymore.
No worries. No.
I mean, that... I was trying to way to think of it that sounded good, but that was not terrible. I will put
it's more the question of, does it not sound like Ragnar, or is it just that you are saying you are not doing it?
I am not good at Ragnar's accent. It sounds like Ragnar.
Okay, that's all that matters then.
Yeah. He seems to be under the effects of some sort of water breathing thing, because he is clearly swimming and clearly smashing a thing with a hammer.
Okay.
After about half a minute, your vision starts to flicker back to you.
Okay.
But yeah, he seems to be underwater smashing dolphins.
And he's on this plane of existence. That's the biggest.
Definitely. Yep.
Okay. Okay.
Yep. So, everyone assembles for breakfast.
Scott comes down holding the Tome of Laws. I put it in my notes in my inventory as Tome of Laws for Rose City, because that's just where my brain went with it.
It's not Rose City. That's Portland.
Yeah, I was going to say there are not nearly enough unicycles or microbrews.
There are not enough breweries, not enough random nudity for no seeming reason.
Yep.
I remembered it was Rose something, and I couldn't remember exactly what it was, and I was like, Rose City, yeah, that'll work.
Yeah, that's fair. No, it's just amusing to me because I live in Rose City.
Yes, we do.
Yep. Anyway, but yeah, Scott will come down holding the tome because,
Baird will smirk at her. How'd it end?
Boring. Same way it started.
I figured. And I
picked up a little in the middle.
I ordered some breakfast.
Laws on nudity.
Really? he perks up. Really?
Yeah, don't do it.
I'll read it next time we're in camp. And I order some breakfast.
Okay. Yeah. You all got some food brought to you. The barmaid will drinks.
Coffee if you got it.
Coffee.
Tea for me this time around, I think.
Something non-poisonous.
Really is.
The alcohol, got it.
What?
And for you, miss?
I have no preference. It's all sustenance regardless, and I don't necessarily trust these people not to poison me if I don't specify it. Because I have very specific laws, and I imagine if you ask not to be poisoned, you can't be poisoned.
She gives you a very confused look.
Just water. Water's fine.
That's not what drinking water contamination means, dear, but okay. And yeah. She'll go out and get drinks for everyone that ordered one.
Does the coffee cost extra, or does it come with
I think it's
breakfast?
part of the room.
Let's say that whatever you guys got this time comes with breakfast. By the way, did Wolfina order anything stuff for drinks?
Something herbal.
Tea?
Yeah, some kind of herbal tea.
Got it. Cool. Again, you notice that the bar is not particularly crowded. It doesn't seem like aggressively xenophobic towards you guys or anything. Wolfina, you were keeping an eye. You notice a few more odd looks at Ibsis than you've gotten previously. But mostly because they definitely know they don't recognize her.
Third will see this. And he'll raise his coffee cup. Said, "Morning." Just give him a big old smile.
And I'll wave. Morning to you as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, as you have morning has come, do any of you have particular things that you want to do?
Yes.
I do too.
I want to actually do this over breakfast.
Okay.
So, are we all seated around the same table, or are we eating independently?
That's up to you.
Ibsis is definitely with.
Okay, so if we're all at the same table.
Yep.
So
Yeah, probably.
over breakfast, Farron is going to lean in and keep her voice down. Okay, so I asked about the library because we know we're apparently some of the few in this world who can resolve the problem of the half-ascended. So I want to find out as much as I can before I do anything about it.
It's not a terrible
Thoughts?
idea.
Makes sense. You gotta know what we're up against.
Like, I want to know where these things are, or if they're moving, how we find them.
I'm not in disagreement. I don't know if this particular state is the correct place to do it in.
If you have any suggestions, I'm open to them.
I would like to remove myself from this area as quickly as possible.
I agree.
Wow.
And there we go.
Look at us!
We have agreed on things before. It is not that uncommon. Aaron, remind me, because it has been a few weeks. Do we know where on the continent we are?
There's a
whether we the
half
players
of the continent you're on.
You're on the continent.
You know which half of the continent you're on.
Yeah, we're on the
I mean,
Confederation.
slightly less than half.
Yeah. Okay, so we know we are in the Seraphic Confederacy. I assumed
you know you're
so.
in the Confederacy.
I assumed we knew that, but I didn't want to say one way or the other.
You know you're in the Confederacy. I believe Farron knows, not exactly, but roughly, a little more precisely than the rest of you.
Yeah, I've been around, and I have had the chance to study geography.
Yeah. Also, you had some level of education about like the various kingdoms.
Yeah.
I do not. There's a moment where she actually looks a little frustrated. I do not know this area. And by area, I mean this entire land mass.
Okay, so
my experiences are all in the deep lands.
Fair enough, and all mine are above ground. So what we need to do is we need to, unless, well, the only thing I can really think of is that we go from kingdom to kingdom within the Confederacy, looking for information, which means we visit libraries, temples, any places of education we can find. There's bound to be someone who has something on these people.
Well,
that is an option.
Any suggestion where we actually start?
If we don't want to start here, we can. Where is the closest? What is the closest kingdom to Rosekeep? Would I know that?
You don't know that precisely, but actually you do. It's this kingdom. The Rosekeep kingdom would be the closest one because you're currently in it.
Closest kingdom
you don't know
than
precisely. You just sort of know roughly where on the continent you are.
Okay.
I would argue.
I mean, if all else fails, we can go to Sunhaven.
You know how far that is from here?
It's not on the map.
Esses just sticks her head up, looks her barkeep there.
There's a barkeep, but doesn't seem to be paying a ton of attention to you. Do you want to flag him down?
You!
Be right with you. After
I just have a question.
What do you need to know?
Where is a map maker in this town?
You could check by the library.
I
don't know of any local map makers, but I'm sure some of the booksellers that have something.
Thank you. That will answer our questions of where we are, and then we can decide where to go from there.
Good idea.
All right, so back to the original plan, the library.
What?
I hate that person.
Well, you don't have to talk to them. I can take care of it.
Oh, it's fine. I just talked to them. We don't need to talk to them anymore.
Sorry, I'm confused. Do you mean the barkeep or the
barkeep?
I'm a little confused.
We're going to the library where we weren't going to go before.
Okay. Thanks.
I'm making a joke.
Oh, that's a good one. I kind of look at the others. That's a good one. That's a good one.
Farron just raises an eyebrow.
Yes.
It is my understanding that doing so is a way to get people to empathize with you more. So, is it working?
Yep. Yeah, definitely.
Insight roll.
Sure, go ahead.
Deception. Can I
Yep.
kind of?
You can.
Natural.
Confess
Hold
it.
on. I want to let me roll my deception at least. It's probably not going to do shit, but who cares?
You need to work on your.
I really have fingers.
God damn it. Okay, 14.
Yeah. Ipsis. It's not convincing.
You need to work on your timing.
Yeah, it's the punchline that kind of delivers it home. So
Right.
once you got that, you're golden. You're golden.
All right. Well, I suppose let's go. Unless we have other things that we need to do before heading to the library.
Not to my knowledge.
All right, I guess we're heading to the library.
All right. It's easy enough to find, as it's been pointed out to you before. It's a thatched roof building close to the town walls that wall off the keep from the rest of the city. As the group of you head in, you hear the woman you met previously, who introduced herself as the clerk and basically everything else, Jelsa, having a discussion with a woman. I don't have the time or the resources right now. Hal, I'm very sorry. All I can do is give you the books and see if we can get some budget spending for mercenaries. Unfortunately, we need our veteran troops on the front lines, and as it's been made very apparent to me quite recent. Let me help these people get back to you. The man, sort of in looked to be fairly decently nice robes, will sort of roll his eyes and sit down. Welcome to the library. What can I do for you today?
Maps.
Hello again.
Hello. Maps. We have a variety of different kinds. That would be this way. And she'll guide you to a back section and pull out a small drawer and start flipping through some cards. Local maps, city maps, sewage maps, national maps, historical maps. What sort of thing would you be looking for?
National continental world.
Of course. And she'll sort of pull out a few cards, put them in a slight binder, and pull a few scrolls off of the wall and hand them to Ipsis as the one who was talking. Of course, keep in mind that national borders shift all of the time. I mean, the exact distance are approximate. It all due to map makers trying to maintain a level of copyright.
It's quite all right. National borders are just a farce anyways.
You don't have to say that kind of thing aloud.
Yeah, a little louder. Don't think they heard you.
It's
That's not what I meant,
And
Jared.
you roughly can see,
just saying,
excluding the information about the deeplands, you can roughly see what is currently on your screen.
Okay. Can I figure out where we are?
Yep, you're here, where the thing says you
actually are. I legitimately could not remember.
Yep. You rolled for where you'd end up on the continent. So you're one of the furthest kingdoms from the Frost Wall, actually.
So do we have any indicator on this map of like places Farron would recognize?
Roll me a history roll.
Okay. Not great at this.
Two.
You know what? I'm going to burn a luck point on it. Why not?
Would I remember where I've been on this map?
I don't know. Actually, yeah, because you did have national maps when you were in the magic boat. So roll me a history roll, Scott.
Kind of.
Farron, you know that you are from roughly here. You know this is the capital, the one that I've sort of put a square around, and then I'm going to delete that square because it's actually noted on the map. And you know that the Frost Wall is where all of the fighting is happening. But that's the most like sort of big landmarks you'd be aware of. Scott with the 13. Yeah, you know that Mirror Shore is somewhere around here, as is the town you started out in. And you'd be able to sort of be like, okay, this island off to the side is probably where the Deeplands Embassy is.
Okay,
Which is, for Scott and Ipsis's benefit, the Deeplands Embassy is the one part of the Deeplands that is above the surface.
Right.
It's the island that they sort of got via treaty. And
yeah, Scott will point out the Deeplands Embassy.
Mhm. You also remember that one of the islands sort of on the way there was where you met Chris, who had a lot of information about the Half Ascended.
So I have a question. And if the answer is you don't know, that makes perfect sense. But knowing where the Deeplands Embassy is, how far out does the Deeplands itself actually go entirely underneath the continent? And where would Ibsis's childhood home have been roughly?
Okay. You can roll me a history check. There's some things you'll know regardless, but rolling well on this check will mean that you know more or more precisely.
What the actual fuck is going on? 21.
Wow.
That
I've
works.
rolled 3 rolls tonight. A 19, a 20, and a
Don't jinx
19.
it, Jeremy.
Don't jinx it, man. What are you doing? What are you doing?
Burn a luck point to get a friggin' 14.
Yeah, man.
mean,
God, I got a 9.
Halloween loot boxes, I guess. So what you would know just sort of off the bat is part of what makes the Deeplands so terrifying to the surface is that it's under all of it. It's everywhere.
Right.
Something else that you'd know is that a lot of the parts that are ocean are still ocean underground. That's what the Durgar do. They're submarine pirates.
Okay.
You
just said submarine pirates, and all of
they're
us
Cthulhu
in
worshipping
D&D,
submarine
and
pirates.
all of a sudden, I want to change my character again.
Yeah, see, this is
all of a sudden, Ibsis leaves.
The Durgar in this setting are Cthulhu worshipping Durgar pirates.
You're not
pirates.
making them less appealing for me.
Submarine pirates. Yeah, well, I'm not trying to make them less appealing. I'm just telling you what they are. They're submarine pirates that in general worship eldritch things beyond the veil of understanding in the realm of nightmares.
Amazing.
Fun.
Ipsis might think that they're a little bit weird.
They worship aberration-y monsters. They are abominations that need to be destroyed.
That's fair. Though probably not as urgently because they're not evil aberrations. They're just incomprehensible, morally irrelevant abominations. Anyways,
Anyway.
yeah, that tidbit that I really like dropping in all the time aside, the actual relevant information is that your home would be roughly, what's a good color? I'm already using red.
Shit. I have to try to zoom out and accidentally zoom in. Okay, there you go.
Your home would be roughly here-ish. You can't know exactly because it wasn't necessarily near any of the surface entrances.
Okay.
But somewhat centrally located on the continent, more on the Confederacy side, but definitely somewhere under the frost wall. You don't necessarily know where the entrances are. That's sort of information they guard really closely.
I wonder why.
But any cave system that goes deep enough, reasonably, you could find an entrance through.
Okay.
Or, like, if you're really good, you could dig down and maybe eventually hit a tunnel or a city.
Right.
Sorry, was there anything else you wanted to know specific?
No, that pretty much covers everything that I was looking for. So I will point at about roughly that spot on the frost wall and say, I can confirm that about there there was an incident that is relevant to this breaking of the world.
We're listening.
Albeit below ground.
In the deep ones, you're saying?
Yes.
What can you tell us about this incident you mentioned?
Very little. Hold on as I look at notes. I've said some of it before, but something came out of some kind of portal. You must understand. I am remembering this. I'm trying to filter this in my current adult mind through the mind that I had as a child, which was not. The difference is what I knew then versus what I know now. Otherwise, it was pretty much the same.
How long ago did all of this go down?
Well, that.
You were in the Feywild. You got no idea.
Yes, that is a relevant question. As to me or objectively?
I mean, I don't remember hearing anything about any of this. I'm very confused.
Right, because it was in the deep lands. Also, it was an isolated village, and I am assuming that very few people know what happened because everything there died except me.
Oh.
Well, me and whatever it was that did the slaughtering, of course.
But you don't remember what it looked like at all?
No, I do not remember what it looked like.
Are we sure it wasn't her?
Well, Fina,
it was not me.
Come on.
I would not, from a mere capability standpoint, I would not have been capable of doing the things that I was young. But I can't find my fucking notes. Because I think it's further back in my history than Slack allows me to. Oh, wait. Nope, never mind.
Oh yeah, that's a thing I keep forgetting. If you sent me your history over Slack or any other information over Slack, it's often useful to add it to your character because
I
then
didn't.
Slack
I
Which I
didn't
I
did.
send
think
it
you
to
did.
you.
Also,
Oh, here
I
it is. I found
definitely
it.
have a
I
copy
found
of
it. No, I was looking for specifically the thing that you had told me that was the addition.
Right.
Because that's the relevant part.
Yeah, sorry.
So what I remember, I will tell you everything I can remember about what happened. Most of it is probably not relevant to this situation. It is simply my personal experience and the slaughter of my village and that sort of thing. Unimportant to pretty much everybody. But I remember I was waking up. Or I had woken up. And my parents were arguing about something. And I've fallen back asleep. I woke up again to the sounds of the screams. I went to investigate. The people of the village that I lived in were all dead, torn limb from limb essentially. I know my father was there. I did not see my mother. Which is potentially relevant because my father was human, my mother was pure blood.
Really?
Yes.
Hmm.
I saw the thing. I don't remember what it looked like. I heard the voice in my head. Basically saying that I would be of value someday. Perhaps.
Of value to whom?
Perhaps. I don't know. Like I said, I don't remember them. And then I saw this column of shadow that had been sort of formed out of the blood of everybody who was dead. That was ripping the air open. And then I passed out.
The one other thing that might be relevant is that same sort of ripping in the sky is what you guys saw above.
Yes, no, I was getting to that.
Sorry.
I passed out. Oh no, I did not. Sorry, different time. When you're on your own, you pass it. When you're on your own as a child in the Deeplands, the wilds of the Deeplands, occasionally you just pass out because lack of food and things. Regardless, no, the thing got up and then left, and I was sort of left there alone, and then had to sort of survive. But yes, that what I saw was what I assume is some ritual gate broken, seal broken kind of thing, profane ritual that caused some is what the kind of thing that we saw in the Deeplands when all of the, or not the Deeplands, the Feywild, when all of the fire elementals and fire giant and stuff were coming from hell.
The same kind of portal that brought Tharad and myself here in the first place.
I was just going to say that.
Curious.
Regardless, details are not necessarily important. Specifics, the only reason I mention it, the only relevance that town has at all, is that if we are looking for places that might be worth investigating, that could be one of them. However, that involves two things: either going to the embassy and taking a long road from there, or going to the Frostwall and trying to find an entrance. Once we get down below ground, I'll be fine. But I don't
Well,
know
the
this
rest
land.
of us, though.
Yeah.
That'll be
Not
the
to mention, Frostwall, with the majority of fighting's going on. How are we going to get through that?
No, you're not wrong. But I have a feeling, call me crazy, I have a feeling we will end up, I can see you wanting to. I have a feeling we will end up at the Frostwall eventually because, well, the world breaking and fighting going on between the two the two nations that are, how's the best way to put it?
They've been fighting for generations.
Ethically opposed to each other.
That's
Could
a nice
be
way to put it.
potentially related. I don't know. I don't know your surface ground politics. All I know is that all I know is what you said, that they're fighting. Is the actual open fighting something that's new, or has that been going on for forever?
As far as I
Generations.
know.
People have been like
open warfare?
Let's just say that my father and his father before him have wanted to see the war ended in their lifetimes. Personally, I don't think it's going to happen.
Neither do I.
I mean, if the world breaks, the fighting will stop. Because there will be no one left.
I was going to say, how are we...
Jelsa will sort of walk by, and if you want checks on the war, they're over there. Here. I remember when the war started. That was...
How long ago
in a few hundred years.
A few hundred years. So
how is there anyone left alive?
In terms of half gods.
She looks at you. You take curious form for someone who asks that question. Are you not even 100 yet?
I've been out for a while.
She sort of goes back to her books.
If this looks over, you will have to forgive us. The two of us have not been on this plane for we don't know how long.
I don't want to be like, I'm only 25, I'm a baby.
I'm a baby.
The elven lifespan expands far past the trivial time that lesser mortals tend towards. This is a rather short war. It'll be over eventually.
Yes, the world will destroy itself, and then there will be no fighting left. I agree. So,
I don't just mean in terms of people outliving the war. I mean, have they not killed each other yet? Are they that terrible at fighting?
Oh, people die all the time. I can get you the death records for the kingdom if you like.
I'd be curious to compare it with the birth records such that we're able to keep up with the demand.
I look over as humans proliferate very frequently.
Precisely. But I will get you birth and death records and specific death records for those who died on the front line. One moment. And
Do I know what year it was when?
As we've been through a few times, no, the calendars would not match up.
Okay. Yeah, I vaguely remember that. Sorry.
Yeah, like you're in a medieval setting. Calendars are a tricky thing. Yeah.
Okay.
But she will slam down several. Here are the birth and death records for recent years, and here is the war casualty listings as we currently have them. These just giant index tomes.
I'm just looking for an end number to see if the population overall has stabilized or if we are seeing a decline because we're killing each other.
Can you make me an investigation roll?
They may not have totals in this.
Oh, they definitely don't have totals, but you can make estimates if you're good at looking through texts.
11?
Doesn't seem like there's been a population decline, though you can't exactly figure out why.
Some foreign influence ensuring that the humans breed prolifically enough to keep up with demand for cannon fodder.
No, they just really like sex.
Theron, you can roll me a history or investigation or hell, even a religion check if it so suits you.
I'm sorry, was that me?
Yeah. Actually, Theron, you're a mercenary. Make me a just history with advantage. Both of you can make rolls.
With advantage, you said?
Yeah, with advantage because
Okie doke. I can do that.
This is the sort of thing that even if it didn't matter to you specifically, would have mattered to those around you.
Right.
Yeah. No, they just really, really like sex. That's what according to my mother, that was why it was so easy for my people to insinuate.
I don't need to be knowing about your parents' sex life. Thank you.
14.
I don't know anything about it other than that it started
No.
I'm confused. Why are you so upset about the intercourse habits of people who you literally never met, never will?
Because I'm looking at the product.
All right.
Farron.
Sorry, do I get the advantage as well, or no?
No, but you get the choice of what you want to roll.
Well, it doesn't really matter to me. They're all intelligence, so I'll roll history. 13.
14.
Okay. So you both get slightly different information because you come from different backgrounds. Farron, that's not remotely how populations work. You might not have studied this extensively, but that's not because at most the people being a war can devastate a town or whatever, but it's not gonna do that to the entire population. You'd need serious disease to knock out or decline a population like that, or demonic extermination works sometimes, but no, having people going out and fighting a war, a lot of them survive to come back, or they have kids before they leave. Both of those happen a lot. And general population numbers might not increase at the same rate or might stabilize, might even go down, but that's not actually a thing that happens because there's a war being fought.
The American Civil War and the World Wars both had impact.
Rest of the fourth or fifth generation at this point. Civil wars are a little bit different. This isn't a civil war.
Well, the World Wars also had, certain impacts.
Yeah.
men
This
disappearing.
isn't
But yes.
So further, this is a border conflict.
Okay.
If you were looking at a downturn in general population, you'd be seeing it at the border where more troops are being drawn from,
Right.
not base nearly as far from the Rose Keep is pretty far. But no, the 100 Years' War, whatever, even which kind of was more civil. It's not a situation where the population is going to kill itself.
This isn't such a high priority conflict that they're, like there's a draft and they're.
Well, there's a draft, probably depends on where you are. There may be a draft, but you're not drafting your entire fighting fit population.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
They're not leaving women and children to farm and.
No, it's you have to be sustainable if you're fighting a war for that long. And given they're fighting at a magically created barrier, a lot of the fatalities are, as always, infection and injury, not like spears to chests. Besides, this region, Farron with 13-year-old hide enough to know, prior to being at war with the other half of the continent, this region was continuously at war with itself. There is a class and caste of people in almost all of these cities who are the children of soldiers and are soldiers themselves, and have kids who are also soldiers. Like, there is a built-in warrior class in the vast majority of these kingdoms. Because you were sort of squabbling states before this. You're still squabbling states, but now you're squabbling states pointing your spears at someone else. Yeah, so that's not how population works, and not something to be concerned about particularly.
Yep.
Therid, just because you fought a war doesn't mean you don't have kids.
That'd be Therid's thinking.
Also, some people get old and stop fighting the war, which is how new people start fighting the war. Like
retirees.
Retired. Soldiers retired.
Yeah, veterans retired.
Veterans
They
retired.
get too injured to be on the front lines anymore, and maybe they pick up mercenary work, or maybe they...
Fair enough, but if they're really committed to winning the war, I would think that it would be we're going to end this in this generation, and they...
Yeah, so you two both know that Wolfina is wrong.
Yeah.
Also, how the fuck would you ship half a continent to the wall?
Yeah.
There are no trains.
There's magic.
So yeah, no, Ipsis is just still looking confused over why this is such a freak out.
Yep.
It's not like I was going to go into detail.
How about
Honestly,
we
I
just
don't
completely
know.
avoid that
I was talking
altogether?
motivations. Very well.
Thank you.
Do we have any other options for finding out more about whatever these half-ascended are?
Well, you suggested we could go to temples, try to figure it out that way.
I want to get out of this city.
Where would we go? Sun Heaven's a ways off.
Anywhere out of this city. Out of such a dense population.
The longer we are here, the more likely we are to
attract undue attention
of giant laws.
Right.
The giant book of laws, not the book of giant laws. In D&D,
that would be interesting.
You need to clarify such things.
Especially when one of
giants have laws.
Right.
Now that Ipsis was a good one.
That was funny.
Actually, that was me. That was not it.
Oh, come on.
Opportunity wasted.
That horrible joke that happened earlier is the best Ipsis probably has ever done.
Okay. Gotcha.
God, do giants have us? Do they have a codified law set?
What was that? You
being so good as to teach me civics.
Sorry, you roboted for me. What was that?
Do giants
You were
have
asked
laws?
if giants have laws, and the answer is everyone has rules and expectations and roles, but it's not like all of Halberd has a specific set of laws. Your tribe had rules and had leaders.
Did you have a book of laws?
A book? No. But everyone knew.
All right. Well, I think we can then agree we need to get out of here. At least it sounds like we are agreeing. We need to get out of here as quick as possible. Where are we going is the only thing, because then we can plan the quickest route.
Okay. Well.
Mine is a long. Mine appears to be a shorter trip than to Farron's land, but also probably more dangerous and could also be longer because mine has verticality to be factored in. Vern's is longer and longer and has books.
Well, how many days? How far are we talking to Sunhaven from here? How many days?
I look at the scale on this map.
So ignoring the actual scale.
Right.
Yes,
I look at the scale on the map saying, Aaron, what is the scale on this map?
Okay. So each hex is about a week's worth of travel.
Okay.
That is assuming you don't run into things like bad weather or get distracted and go somewhere else.
So
it could take us months to get there.
It could take us months just on foot.
Yeah, it could take you months to get either place. Probably more.
No matter where we go, it's gonna be a trek. So.
But then again, if you're not trying to get close to the frost wall, you're much less likely to run into any kind of concerns.
Right. Well.
It is roughly on the map half as long to the frost wall.
Yeah.
Than it is to what is marked as your homeland. Frostwall is about a month to get there, and then whatever to get down. So 2 months to.
And Farron, whether or not this is a good thing, you're also aware that that little spark on the center, that I need to actually be on a pointy thing to show you, is the capital. And if you're headed straight there, you are headed through the capital, which could be a good thing or a bad thing.
Yeah, that's true. We could.
Capital must have information. I mean,
in my experience, and my experience is more than just my one town. I have visited other settlements since. Once I, long story, but the capitals often do not necessarily have the best sense what is happening on the outskirts, and if this is trying to happen in secret, the bigger value of a capital would be collection of general information as opposed to news.
Scott, I want you to roll me an intelligence save because you know something about this. Then again, Farron, if they are freaked out that there's a lot of rules in a somewhat suburban town like this, the fact that there are rules in a city is really going to shock them.
Yes, the capital might not be the best choice.
Scott, you know that there are a few of these half-ascended. You remember what you were actually supposed to do with them, which was either make sure they ascend or make sure they are fully not ascending to being a god. So help them one way or the other. You know that there was one in the Deeplands that you guys were headed to before you got distracted. You don't know if that would be the same way. It's hard to know above ground, especially as someone who's non-native. You know that there was another one somewhere in the Confederacy that would be more in the direction of the capital in Farron's homeland from where Chris pointed it out to you.
I will kind of look around and because we're still in the tavern, right?
Library.
In the library, sorry, I know what I meant. There's nobody like staring at us, like paying attention to us, right? I know there's the library.
No. Jelsa will wander by on occasion, mostly just reference books and to be snarky at the silly humans who think this war is a long one.
Makes sense. As soon as there's like nobody really around, Scott will say, I know that we were supposed to find them and help them.
I'm sorry, help them?
Yeah. Either become ascended or stop ascending, I guess.
We can help them stop.
Or we could help them. It just depends on the situation. Don't stop all of them.
There was, before I wound up off of the plan, there was one that I knew of in the Deeplands embassy.
Not in the embassy.
Or in the Deeplands. I don't know.
That would have been specifically, Scott, to remind you, that would have been somewhere in the Platinum, what was it called? Platinum Kingdom, which is the Drow area.
Okay. Yeah, in the Platinum Kingdom.
And for my reference, assuming I know, where roughly is the Platinum Kingdom? Okay. I saw.
Okay. I didn't show anything, but
oh, okay. I saw a ping. I thought that was you were pinging.
No, I did not ping anything.
No,
that's
ping.
weird because there was a ping in your color. Okay. Anyways, yeah.
Sorry.
Roughly, where is the Platinum Kingdom?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, sort of extends roughly to here-ish.
Got it.
You were decent, like near, no, but like
yeah, but at least
you were a sort of
outskirty
village that was pointedly close to a lot of things.
For sure, and I've probably traveled in there at some point.
Oh, definitely.
Anyways, okay.
The Drow are stuck up as like everything,
and they create lots of things that need to be destroyed.
I mean, mostly they enslave things, but they do some creating.
Or summon things that need to be destroyed.
Yeah, more
summon things that get loose and then rampage, and they're like, welp, if I let anybody know about that, I'm dead, so doo-dee-doo-dee-doo.
Yeah, that would be your
right. They leave a lot of cleaning up to do.
That's true.
They do a lot of trying to bind powerful celestials.
Yes.
It's not smart.
Not smart at all.
Well,
they have a thing for spiders.
That would certainly
They love spiders.
I'm not opposed to that. I know that area.
Was it just the one?
I think it's fair to assume there are probably more than one below ground, but in this case, I look at Ska.
With your intelligence save, you'd remember the issue is that there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
So no, there was not just one half ascended.
The problem is that there isn't just one.
Okay.
There isn't just one in the platinum
In existence.
In existence.
Oh. Well,
Okay,
yes,
half
I
ascended is
assumed
plural.
that. I assumed we're going to be killing
Yeah,
many half-gods.
I was going to ask the obvious, like, how many ascended are we? Do we need to help or not help?
I believe the answer is all of them, but I don't know if we know how many.
Okay. Fair enough.
I have another question.
Mhm.
There have to be some other group dealing with this.
Why
Probably.
do you say that?
That wizard did say we aren't the only ones.
Yeah.
World-ending beings of immense power.
Because if we're the only group that's out to save the world is doomed.
Well,
I
exactly.
don't
And I'm
disagree
just
with
saying,
that.
if we could figure out who else is trying to save the world, maybe we could coordinate our efforts a little bit better.
Use our mighty social skills.
I have
Some
good
of
social
us
skills. I have
Yeah.
very good social
keep from poisoning.
You would know. Sorry, Sky is currently the vehicle for the exposition you've already received. You would know, as I've mentioned a few times, there is Chris, who last you were aware of was in the embassy. Actually, explicitly was the one to allow you passage to the embassy. Who is a gnome that was aware of this and was trying to find the people and information to stop it from happening.
Might I suggest we find this person?
Sorry, I'm sort of halfway through a text block. You would know that there's Ragnar and Einar, who may or may not actually care about this, but totally definitely exist, and you have a quite high opinion of. There's Holistra. There's probably other people that you've met before. Alistar had some destined heroiness going on. Then again, Holistra and Alistar are not necessarily the people you want saving the world.
Not so much.
Holistra is perfectly capable. She is just...
I'm not saying
she's perfectly capable.
not.
She just doesn't care.
She cares.
Just
doesn't care about her own people.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, that was part of her hope, was that
Yeah.
they were going to turn this half-ascended on her own people and wreck them, and then...
Then you just didn't decide to go.
Then we kill it.
These were your friends?
No, her people.
Okay.
That's
that's not this character. That's
a different character.
Yeah.
No, I'm referring to Scott. Like, you had some really strange friends.
I was going to say, that's kind of some fucked up friends. No.
Well,
no.
I don't know how much of that Scott has actually said. That was Aaron reminding Kat of
that is giving
Sorry.
the
I redact on that statement.
And yeah.
Gal will give the relevant information about where she remembers the half-ascended being.
Okay.
And that stuff. She will leave out the personal details of her friends.
Sorry.
Did you mention the gnome?
Yes, because that would be a pertinent detail.
Let's go find the gnome. I like gnomes.
I like gnomes too. Good drinkers.
Yes, it makes sense for us to find someone who knows more than we do about this.
Yeah, because
we can't even tell how much time has passed. We need to figure out what the fuck is going on in this new place.
Absolutely.
Gnomes like to talk. Let's find the gnome.
Aaron, would I have a clue how to get back to that?
So the embassy is on the surface. So yes, you know roughly where it is. You know that you'd need to cross the ocean, which is faster than walking across the land, admittedly, with most boats. That depends. If you have a rowboat, you're fucked. You know that you'd probably want to actually get some permission in advance or something this time.
Yeah.
Because there was a guy nailed to a rock.
Yeah. Yeah, I do vaguely remember that. So Scott will take a moment and then say, if we're going to go there, we need permission to get in.
Is this the kind of permission that involves...
Yeah, a little persuasion.
I mean, that probably wouldn't hurt. But so there's this guy nailed to a rock.
I'm
What?
listening.
Like, is he alive
Like
or is he dead?
ROC or ROCK?
ROCK.
It's just the angriest giant bird flying around. Why me?
There's a gnome nailed to a bud.
What have I done?
I get why you're punishing the guy, but why did you nail him to me?
I'm just a bird.
Well, then explain the whole
You might
situation.
need to actually explain it, given these people.
Yes, there are new people here.
And as a player, I don't remember it all that clearly
So
because
It's okay.
The short of it is,
It's okay. It's okay.
this was somebody who had tried to get there without permission. Am I not right?
No, the dude nailed to a rock was not someone who tried to get there without permission. He was a servant, in some variety, druidish, probably, of the god who's focused on the embassy, whose name I need to look up. Of Rue, the goddess of protection.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
And was essentially like yeah, he was part of the barrier. Ipsis, you'd be aware of parts of this. There's a barrier protecting the embassy and a goddess that's sort of responsible for that. Who's sort of independent from the pantheons and is just like there to protect the embassy primarily. And you nail people to rocks and use their lifeblood and then their self-animation and their personal will to protect, maintain a veil of darkness, all the
right. So, okay, I have a question. A GM question.
Yep.
I'm assuming that is largely to keep toplanders from getting into Deeplands territory.
Yep.
If you are, for example, in the Platinum Kingdom, there is no such thing you have to pass through. Correct?
No, if you were already underground, it wouldn't be an issue.
Okay. Not bringing that up yet. I just wanted to know that.
With someone, if you chose to go above ground entering the embassy, you might encounter someone, but it would be less stringent there too.
Right. Okay. I'm not bringing it up yet. I just wanted the information.
Sure.
Okay.
Do we have anybody that can get us permission? Do we have any contact, I guess I should say.
Yes, I was going to say, if there's a barrier stopping us from getting to the embassy, and we can't pass it without permission, how do we get permission?
That's a very good question. I don't know. Like I said, I would assume some contact from the Deeplands who is on this continent above ground. Do we have one of those?
The gnome. You could go to Ibsis, you might know someone. You might not be friendly with them. You might know someone. Scott, again, you would remember that there was an island sort of at the edge of the area the Deeplands Embassy claims, and one of the people there was sort of responsible for providing passes to those who needed them. But you had someone who was very angry at the goddess of prophecy.
Okay. Yeah, Scott will, like I said, Scott will give the relevant information needed that I, as a player, do not always remember.
Well, why don't you guys decide what's the easiest way of doing this, and then we'll head that way. Pick one.
If nothing else, I'd probably head to Mirashore to find transport one way or another.
Yeah, we're gonna need transport no matter where we're going. So.
Been to Mirashore before.
Mirashore is one place. Yeah.
I completely forgot something. I'm a dummy.
No.
Mm-hmm.
I have the researcher background feature.
Okay. What do you want to find in the library?
Well, is there any information on proper channels
For entering the Deeplands?
for making political contact with such esteemed individuals?
Sure. That's what that would be.
Surely these people have to be
you can
communicated with.
find it's mostly like ancient treatises and historical records, but you can find some things on that would be typically done through the noble family.
Okay.
The exact methods for contacting are not, though there are some more less official sources that are like, they've got spies everywhere. You just look around, and if you find a spy, you ask them, and they kill you. But you could ask.
These treatises and records.
Yeah, and then like the other answer is obviously the sea folk. The sea folk would be, because they're the merchants. They have contact with everyone.
Why don't we sign ourselves up with a merchant vessel?
Yeah, it could work.
I'm actually curious about these treatises and records. Is there one? Do we have these on hand? Are we looking through them?
I assume that Wolfina is looking at the library. The researcher background lets you find information in the place you are, or know where to look for it if you can't find it.
Yes.
Okay, so if we have copies of these treatises on hand, is there one from Sunhaven? Because we could use
here
that
in this library. No,
it was worth a shot.
This is stuff specific to Rosekeep, or or more broadly affiliated with the Confederacy at large. And
all right, fair enough.
Sunhaven would have their own treaties.
I feel like we need the most direct route here. Not something that is taking a job with something that will eventually get us there. I have an option.
Do tell.
It is not a required option, but it is an option.
We need as many options we can get.
If we can get below ground, we will not face these same stringent issues getting to the embassy.
Will we get ourselves killed?
Are we more likely to get ourselves killed below ground than we are above ground, where apparently everybody wars and probably not any more likely. Yes, there are dangerous things below ground, including the people, but I don't see how that's any different from what I've experienced in the Feywild or here, frankly. I realize my experience with above ground is very limited at the moment, but we've been here a day and I've already been arrested. And
my concern is that the same treatment that you seem to receive above ground will be the treatment that the other 4 of us receive below ground.
Very true.
Yes, I'm inclined.
Currently, having one person hated in the party is enough.
I'm inclined more towards Orfina's option.
Yeah.
It was just an idea. Whatever we do, I'd like to get moving. Libraries are stuffy.
I like the quiet.
Speaking as a librarian, they are stuffy and they are no longer quiet.
Yeah.
Not enough airflow, you know? To
The
throw up
aircon
a
is
few windows.
not the people. Anyway.
So we are mostly supporting the idea of joining a merchant company to...
For adventure and ultimate destination.
It's going to be hard no matter which
For
way.
the GM's benefit, what is that destination?
I
don't
am violently opposed to the idea of randomly wandering until we get to our destination.
Yeah, we can't just wander. Yeah, I agree.
Oh. If we were to go underground, where would we start?
Yeah. You know what? An entrance point?
I could find one.
How long would that take? We don't exactly. I mean, we have an idea of where we can go to.
And to be clear, I am not necessarily trying to push for that idea. I very literally want whatever gets us to our destination quickest. But in my judgment, probably less time than it would take to find a merchant caravan that is heading exactly where we want to go.
That's true. I mean,
to the best of my knowledge, like the Deeplands Embassy gets very specific type of goods sent to it.
Such as?
That may make it easier to find the correct.
And harder to find the appropriate merchant company that doesn't have a ton of its own manpower. There's very specialized type of goods. Of course, as usual, Aaron, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm basing this off what we went through before.
We have some very specialized skills.
Goods.
Yeah,
that we absolutely do not.
Actually, Ipsis, roll me a history, intelligence, or insight, whichever you would prefer.
History, intelligence. I am more or less equally mediocre at
whatever you would
things.
prefer to roll. They will yield slightly different results.
I will go. What the fuck? I will go history, even though my insight is 1 higher. Natural 1.
I mean, marketing your skills isn't the worst idea.
No, it is absolute. But yes, no, it.
With a natural.
It's how I survived in the Feywild.
We're not in the Feywild anymore.
That's how I became a mercenary.
That's how I.
My concern is that finding. Yes, it would be easier to find these groups, but they will be there will be fewer of them. They will be more spread out, and because the things that they have will be how best to put it, more valuable and more specialized. They will probably have their own guards and will be less trusting of random people who want to join up with
How is
them.
that any different from below ground?
Below ground, we subsist entirely upon we rely entirely upon ourselves. And frankly, I trust more all of you far more than I trust any other person I have ever met in my life, with the
I'm not
exception of
sure
one.
whether to be insulted or
Yeah, is that a Ibs? Are you complimenting us?
If you wanted to go back, like you've gone up and down a few times in the past. Yeah, ask for the deepest, spookiest nearby cave system.
Yes.
And if that one's not big enough, you'll look for bigger rumors.
Yes, but I'm not going to tell them that.
No, I'm just giving you a context of how long it takes relatively to find merchants headed where you want to go. And
Right.
It's not a compliment or an insult. It's simply a statement of fact. Outside of one other person, there's no who is probably not alive anymore. There is nobody. I trust you all and would feel like I can rely on you all far more than anybody else.
Aw, Ibs. I'm touched. Seriously. Might weep.
Good for you.
I don't think relying oh heck. Dang it. Back in a bit, sorry.
The
No
other
problem.
thing, Ibsis, that's worth knowing is that once you get down to the deeplands, you'd have to do the being underground part anyway.
Yeah, no matter where we're
That's
going
true.
underground, no matter which way we
We're
go.
gonna be
That is
below
worth
ground
mentioning if that's the
regardless.
primary.
We're going to be below ground regardless. We're going to have to deal with all of this kind of stuff anyways. I kind of feel like it is perhaps better to get prepared for this in the outskirts before you all get thrown directly into the wolves of the embassy itself.
Okay,
It will be less culture shock.
good point.
But if we have a better option above ground and we can find a merchant company, and that is what we would all prefer to do, who is going straight there, I support that.
Right, I'm back again. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Courier knocking on the door.
Where's
No problem.
What was I was going to say that for that friggin' courier, no, I was going to say that I am not entirely certain that I trust just the 5 of us to be wandering around underground without clear directions, unless Ibsis recognizes
are you
something.
saying we should get a guide?
Oh, I can find. Once we get down there, I can probably find. I've been many places within the Deepland. I'm not saying that I will instantly, once I get down there, know where we are, but I can find us. I can guide us through without too much.
Yeah, you can. Okay.
Should we get an opinion from an older mentor?
Which older mentor?
I touched the moon sword. Hi.
The presence it comes into your mind.
Oh no, I kind of lean over to Farron. Oh no, now she's talking to herself again. She does this. I've seen it. It's weird. It's weird.
Have you been paying attention to this interesting, altogether too long conversation?
See, just
It is as you say, too long. You will find your path where you head.
So we can go anywhere and it'll all work out in the end, is what you're saying.
Prudence is not unadvisable.
I fear prudence is in none of these directions.
Prudence left the station a while ago.
Yeah.
Prudence.
My concern with the underground route is that Moonlight will not reach me there, but I wonder if that an unnecessary concern with your presence.
If you are concerned that moonlight will not reach you underground, perhaps don't talk about how you're going to go underground, different routes underground. As a reminder, heading to the embassy would either way result in you in the Deeplands, which is underground.
Yeah.
Right.
It would be a longer time underground, though.
It would. Oh, sorry, yeah.
She's talking.
Yes.
You can hear her half of the conversation.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's right.
I'm
That's right.
speechless.
You don't think the whole. You don't do the. Yeah.
No, I talk it.
You just
You do
can't
it.
hear the
You do it the
response.
most fun way. So yes, my response stands. Then.
Thank you for your insight. I appreciate it. Whichever way we choose to go, we will find our way. Decide, please, please, please.
Who says merchant company?
I vote merchant company.
Says
I vote
Deepland. Oh,
whichever way goes quicker.
I assume
How
that you
about
were.
we
I
don't
assume
look-
that you were abstaining.
How about we do both? And whichever way finds us a route quickest, we'll take.
That's it. That doesn't work.
It doesn't work well.
You're either heading to the
merchant
coast to find boats, or you're headed.
Deeplands.
We can head to the coast and keep an eye out for caves along the way.
That is the worst possible way to get into the
Yeah.
Deeplands.
Well, it's either one.
I'm just trying to get us out of this fucking
I'm
library.
trying to hold a vote here. One for Deeplands.
One for company.
Yeah, one for trading company. Deeplands.
Company.
Okay, 2 for company.
Apparently, we're trying to find a boat.
You can make me a survival roll, given your personal background and some other things.
17.
You barely made it through the Deeplands with people who were through the embassy previously with people who were really good at socializing.
What? Hey.
No, you're not wrong.
Relatively speaking.
Thank you.
Farron is quick-witted and...
Farron is a social creature,
But...
even if I'm not.
Yeah. No, I just pointing out to you that
Yeah, you're not wrong.
one of those options is far more social, which is something that you, as the person who's been these routes specifically before, might be aware of.
Yeah. Then in that regard, Scott will look at Farron and say, "Well, if we go the boat route, you'd have to be the talker."
I think that's something I could do.
Have you ever met anybody from the Deeplands before? Besides me.
What are they like?
We're going to die.
That didn't answer my question.
Yeah.
They are generally untrustworthy. They have a very different way of doing things.
Can you
Liz
describe
dying
that different way
anyway.
for me, please?
The embassy is highly political. It is several very competitive factions. Imagine, this is going to be a poor description, but I think is perhaps the best one. Imagine, and this might sound insulting, but it's not. A city full of political factions, but all of those political factions are thieves and assassins guilds.
My kind of town.
Do you
Oh.
do you speak Undercommon?
Do
I
I?
do not.
Sorry, there were two people spoke at once.
Sorry.
I do not, but
Okay.
I do know how to talk to people in ways that convey messages.
Okay. Well, we can translate, so that is doable. I'm not saying that we're guaranteed to be doomed.
But we should be cautious, you're saying.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's good.
All right.
Let's find a boat.
Where do we do that? We are currently on
Never
a
seen the
landlocked.
ocean before.
We are currently in a landlocked city. So, what coastal city do we go to?
Okay, let's do it.
We can either take the long way around to Mirrorshore or find a port to get us there by sea.
Or,
If
any
there
of
is
the other cities in the Seafolk area. Mirrorshore
I
is just the
look
one
at the
Scott has
maps
been
to
to.
determine where the nearest port city is.
Okay. Yeah. There's. I had no idea this was gonna. Okay. Let's see. Pulling up that part of my notes. So yeah, the closest port city would be Emlo's Wish, which is just sort of directly this way from where you are right now.
All
So
right.
a little under a week.
Okay, cool.
Is it part of the same nation state as Rose Keep? Is it part of this kingdom?
Probably. It might not be under the same exact jurisdiction, but that does seem to extend that far. At the very least, it's the nearest port to them, and
Okay.
they are
I'm
the
going
nearest.
to find. Grab the elf. The librarian.
Mm-hmm. She is an elf.
Yeah. Everything you have on this city.
All right. And she'll go back to the cards, put some cards in a binder, hand you some scrolls.
Wonderful. Basically, I'm looking for laws, do's and don'ts. The Adventurer's Travel Guide to
Well, I do have the law book.
to Imlo's Wish.
It's a fairly respectable port town, so don't steal, don't murder, or you can't just shank someone in an alley and put it behind a dumpster and no one will care.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just gonna generally get familiar with that information.
Yeah, sure.
So that once we arrive there, it's not like when we came here and just by pure happenstance happened to violate every law we could think of in a matter of 5 minutes.
I would say both.
Passing is not every law you can think of. It's just serious trespass.
Every law that we could manage to violate in that short period of time.
You could have done a lot more.
Oh yeah.
We're gonna save the world, guys.
But that's fair.
And then
I mean, so Ipsis, roll me investigation.
Okay.
Avoiding breaking the laws again the same way we did is very simple. We just never go back to the Feywild.
Good. See, that's why I like it.
Like, it is very challenging text. You're not familiar with this kind of thing. You're not a political person in the first place.
I
this is
shove it
the
over at the noble.
document, and that's it.
I shove it over at the noblewoman.
Allow me.
Investigation, Farron.
Oh boy, here we go.
Jared is openly chuckling.
19.
Much better. Yeah, most of it, aside from, is not stuff you necessarily need to be concerned about. You're not about to start up a fishing company or start trading in whale hides or anything like that.
I mean, honestly, Aaron, look at this group. Would you be shocked if suddenly we decided to start a
No,
fishing company?
I'm being somewhat, yeah. Okay, so you could, absolutely. That is an option. It's not an option you've expressed to me so far, so I'm assuming that's not what you're looking for in this book. The
like to
only
open a
things
haberdashery.
that would strike you are, of course, the laws common to all of the Confederacy against heretical worship and against heretical practice.
All right. So classic Confederacy laws apply. Let's not go around mentioning anything about our religious beliefs. If we have any that contradict the 8 wings, of course. I don't actually know, so
I don't have any.
no, you don't.
I'm spiritual, but I don't subscribe to any particular faith. So you don't have to worry about me.
I'll keep that in mind the next time you get hurt.
I'm not saying that other people's aren't valid. I'm just saying that I have no faith in entities that allow the world to be as it is. But I respect those who do. Well, I allow for those that do.
All right. So I think we'll.
Shall we go?
I think we can get through Imlo's wish just fine.
Sounds good to me.
That sounds optimistic, but
Okay.
we'll give it a
Having spent most of the day in the library poring over historical texts, you guys have finally determined where you want to head.
This has been the worst possible day. This was worse than spending the night in a jail cell.
Oh, come on. Come on, we all learned something.
Rose Keep.
I don't believe you.
I don't either.
I'm not gonna lie. I've had worse days.
I don't know about you, but I'm quite comfortable in a library.
Well, considering where I came from before I joined up with the guy, this day has been awesome. So let's go.
It's the port city of Imlo's wish. After traveling for a few hours, it gets to be dark, and you guys are quite tired.
Hey, camp.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds good to me.
Whoever would like to try and find a place for you to camp, should make me a survival.
I will. I'll make a roll.
I'll try it. I'm pretty good at survival.
Oh,
Someone
sorry.
specifically should make
I'm
a roll.
having to do work stuff. I'm the ranger. I'll survival this shit.
I'll roll. I'll still roll.
Okay, so
really? My God. 6.
This is why I usually say one person make a roll.
Okay, sorry.
When I say that, yeah. But third, you find a campsite. Ibsis, you turn over a rock and a whole bunch of spiders climb out of it. And you're like, let's go to a different campsite.
These spiders will kill you before you hit the ground.
Gotcha.
Find a place with decent sight lines and trees. Ibsis not realizing when her jokes are better than they generally are. And yeah. Set up for the night, I assume.
Yep.
I'll take first watch.
Okay.
Second watch is fine.
I'll take second watch.
I'll take third.
Farron, did you say?
No. is it the done thing to take watch in pairs?
Generally,
Typically, but
you
we
don't
have
enough
5 people
for the
and
full-
3
Yeah.
watches, so somebody's gonna have to be a 1 anyways. It's up
And
to
it
you.
might as well be the first watch is the one because, you know, it's when we're the most awake.
Fair enough. I'll take third watch with Wolfina then.
Ipsis, you were saying you said
I
second?
said second. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll take second watch too.
So, Scott,
By myself.
anything you'd like to do?
Yeah, I'm gonna sit and take watch.
Okay.
So
Roll me perception.
21.
It's a clear night. Ipsis picked somewhere with decent sight lines. You're pretty sure you're fine. You see some, maybe those are sheep in the distance and a guy with them, but nothing else.
Ska will on her watch, she'll randomly be like writing in her journal.
Okay.
But paying as much attention as she possibly can, just kind of absent-mindedly writing.
Yeah, you're good. Okay. Second watch.
Yep.
Perception. Really? Oh my god.
Oh man.
Wow.
That seems suspect.
Oof.
Wow.
Sometimes it just turns out that way.
I know. Oh my god.
I think this is the most natural ones we've had in a while.
You know.
Yeah, we have currently just over 20% of our rolls have been nat ones.
Awesome. Great session.
Half of Tyler's.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
The thing is, they're all coming from you and me.
See? We're
There.
fun.
That's sure a tree.
Really
Ipsis-
nice. Yeah. It's a nice night. That's basically it.
Again, it's pretty peaceful out here. It's close enough to civilization that their own guard patrols keep away the more dangerous creatures.
Right.
Also, you're not as big of a target because if a dragon comes by, you don't have as much gold as the city does.
Oh, so true.
Yeah. the city's
Sometimes
500
being
gold
poor
rich.
is an advantage.
Exactly.
Oh.
I used to worry about my house getting broken into, and my friends would tell me, Steph had nothing to worry about. You've got nothing that anyone would want to steal.
Not good friend.
Okay.
I would never say that to you.
Anyways, so yeah, no, she will just keep an eye out. She's not feeling like initiating conversation unless it is started already, in which case she will be responsive.
Third knows when to talk and when not to, so he chooses not. Just have a quiet evening.
All right.
Okay.
My turn?
Yeah, that would be Wolfina and the Farron. Correct?
Perception. Wow.
Oof.
I mean, you're about
Now
50,
it's getting crazy.
Farron, that tree looks weird.
Right?
Ipsis was sitting in it, right? Maybe? No, she's sleeping over there now. There's a tree.
Well, it is unfamiliar territory. So I'm looking
Are you
at
frightened?
Maybe a little.
You're a very honest person.
I try to be.
Most people wouldn't have admitted that. Most people would be lying, of course, but
Well, I know there's a time and a place to lie, and this is neither.
noted. Keep an ear out for me while we're out and about, will you?
An ear for anything in particular?
People who look like me?
Do you mean other elves or other clerics? Or is this something a little more personal?
I haven't seen my family in a while, shall we say. But I'm not sure how long a while. And at this point, they could be anywhere. They tend not to stay in one place for very long.
I see. Oh. Well, you've done right by me. If you need a place to call home, I have one.
That was not what I was expecting.
I guess we're all just full of surprises, aren't we?
Apparently. I'd like to find my family, but that is an incredibly generous offer. Don't take that lightly. Thank you.
We'll find you your family first. And if it doesn't work out, I'm sure Sun Heaven will be accommodating.
I'm
Right.
not sure what to say to that.
Scott, you sort of overhear this conversation as you're preparing, and you start concentrating on your item, and your vision flashes. You see water, storm, wood, scarred, burned wood, and then a man, familiar dwarf, sitting on a boat, counting some gold, with several destroyed other boats surrounding the one he's on. As you watch, another more heavily armored dwarf comes up. He's at the very edge of your vision, but you can vaguely recognize Ragnar. Back to port tomorrow, then. In what I promise is William Einar voice.
No worries, no worries. Is there anything that I can see, like, about the boat itself that I could recognize?
It's difficult to make out much, but the skeletons that hang from the edge, animated, do give you some indication.
Does it look like the boat that we were on before?
Maybe it's been modified if it is. But you could probably recognize the boat with all the skeletons.
Okay. Okay.
And at that point, your vision starts fading back.
Okay.
What do you want to do?
She's going to try to be as stealthy and quiet as possible. Leave a couple of notes where she knows they'll be found. And sneak off into the night.
With my perception roll, would I notice this?
Make me a stealth check, Scott.
Here's hoping. That's a 14.
You're ducking and dodging Farron's perception, but Wolfina, you see Skaz sort of start to move around, which isn't odd. You trance as well. You know that it's half trance, half light activity compared to the time that humans sleep. You notice her set a few things down and move further away than you're I don't know what's happening above me. Okay. Further away than you would normally be expecting. I don't know if that came through, but it sounded like someone dropped like a bowling ball on top of my head.
I have upstairs neighbors too.
I'm glad it was not an actual bowling ball. That would be...
Yes, we don't want... Yeah, no.
Yeah, I mean, there's a floor there anyways, but...
Am I able to make eye contact?
I'd say with a 10 difference in your checks, Scott, as you're reaching the edge, your eyes slip back to the camp for a second and Wolfina's looking at you.
She's just going to kind of give a small nod and try and get away.
All right.
I stand up.
Scott isn't stopping. She's continuing to move.
Scott? Scott?
Wait, what? As Farron gets up.
Yeah. Farron, this is about the point where you notice something's happening. Sorry, you rolled a natural one.
Oh,
So many nat ones.
so much for taking the alert feat.
Farron, you stay here.
Wait, what? What's going on?
Stay.
All right.
I run after her.
I'm going to draw my short bow just in case.
Are you... There's a movement speed difference. Do you want Wolfina to be able to catch you?
No.
Okay. Wolfina, you run, but she is taller than you, and somehow every stride you take seems to be nearly 2 of hers. And she's fading into the distance.
Wait.
I think that's where we're going to end for the week.
Alrighty.
Yeah, I missed a bit that I wanted to talk to Wolfina about. Oh well.
Say goodbye.
Bye.
Farewell.